afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for the warm welcoming and your hard working during the day today. Hello to the online audience. Thank you very much for welcoming us here. So let's start. The after lunch session is always very difficult to start. So, a diverse and inclusive culture in a workplace is a must today. It is a key to attracting and retaining talents. It is a driving force to achieving the SDG, catalyst for positive impact, and also a guarantee for the future the next generation deserves. We have gathered here today with the four worldly acknowledged professionals, HR experts, each specializing in different fields, from the state corporation with more than 290,000 employees, through the HR service network covering 300 cities in China, to the government authority developing tourism in one of the most sustainable destinations in the world.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I will be co-moderating with Olga today, and I'm pleased to introduce our guests for today. First of all, Ms. Tatyana Terentьeva, Deputy Director General for HR of Rosatom. Api Karapetyan, Chairman of the Armenian HR Association. Hilal Al-Jadidi, Chief Human Capital Officer at the Oman Tourism Development Company. Chan Zhenchun, CEO of the CIIC Shandong Human Resources Services Co. And Mehdi Azadvari, Director of the Eurasia Economic Research Center.
So the first question is to Mr. Azadvari. You lead the Eurasia Economic Research Center that is focused on exploring opportunities and challenges for the European market. Please tell us, from the economic point of view, how does the labor market look today? And according to the ILO monitor of the world of work, unemployment and inequality both look set to rise nowadays due to multiple economic and political crises. What strategies implemented by corporate Jedis could help boost the market economy? And what current HR trends could you highlight? And maybe you could pick one that is with us to stand for the next 5 years.
Thank you for your question. I would like to first thank the Rosatom company and all the colleagues from implementing this program. If I talk about Eurasia trade and challenges and opportunity we have in the future, we should talk about blind market. For example, if we have a good profit for the future, we should perspective and looking in the future profit, not for the short term. If we would like have a good plan for worker and companies that want to get profit for the future, we should attention to the some facilities and some situation we have in. For example, in political development is so important, because if we would like have a good situation for increase our activity in a worker and or the producer, we should have a balanced situation without any crisis, without any something that happen, all of the decision for producer or worker. And if we would like to attention to educational, for example, the educational should be changed in the with new perspective to the future economy, because in the new future economy change some activities and maybe should be focused on some field of every education. Digital marketing is improving all the years, and I think should be changed and increase our activity about digital marketing. and all the companies, big companies, should have a good strategy about the digital marketing also. In Eurasia market, I'm talking about Eurasian market, but all the market related and dependent to Eurasia market, not just Eurasia market. Should attention to how can I say, calm market, not a very crazy market. I think all of the, for example, all of things, a lot of things related to have a good future for worker, producer, that we should attention to it. If it's not enough. If you have any question, I have.
Maybe you can name the HR trend today, one of the trends that helps to retain the talent. What do you use there?
About talent of?
Talent, employees.
Mm-hmm. Now we should looking forward the new market, and some of the producer, if thinking with new talent, they should looking the long-term profit, not short-term profit. Short-term profit may be increased during a short time, but it's not sustainable. It's not, we cannot keep it for a long time. We should thinking for a long term. If we thinking as a talent producer or organization, we should have a long strategy about it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And let's move on to the next speaker, Ms. Terentьева. You have 18 years of experience in human resources, and a very large and important part of that experience was the development and the implementation of Rosatom's HR strategy. And as we know, Rosatom is one of the biggest corporations that is really spearheading a lot of wonderful initiatives about bringing sustainability to daily operations and to talent management in general. From this perspective, which tools, frameworks, just ideas in general, do you think you are successfully implementing when it comes to retaining talent, first and foremost within the context of Jedi? So as we already said, justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion. And how do you think some of your successful best practices within such a large corporation can be used for smaller companies, which obviously have less resources?
Thank you very much, Lora, for your questions. And I continue in Russian. It's more comfortable for me. Well, indeed, Rosatom today is the best employer in Russia on the domestic market, and it's the biggest leader in the international nuclear market as well. And this is where, in a way, we reflect all the challenges that any corporation at some point comes across. Our company employs all the 5 generations of people available on the markets. And indeed, like elsewhere in the world, we have among our employees the generation born in 1945, the X generation, the Y generation, the Z generation, and the Alpha generation. So it's a very diverse world. It's diverse in terms of age and values and vision. And we're truly a melting pot of all of them. And naturally, another trend we are witnessing today is the growing Z generation. And These are young people with a completely different set of values, with completely different attitudes and vision. And us as a corporation are there to understand how we bring them together in a productive way, how we get together several generations in one company and ensure they work effectively. Well, the Z generation certainly is quite different. In fact, I was quite amazed to hear this figure from Princess when she said in Africa they have it was 70% of young people out in the market that is aged under 30. That's a shocking number, truly. And of course, this is going to bring along quite special and quite different tools that can be used with them. But our future is with the Z generation, and as all of us present here are certainly different from them. I mean, to you, work is not only about work, it's about finding the value, identifying the value you are sharing with the community, you're transmitting to the world. And in fact, this transpires in your report because you're giving a lot of importance to environmental protection, to climate change. In fact, climate change is indeed one of the driving forces in the thinking of the Z generation. And of course, when it comes to the employers, when they are out there hunting for the talents, what's going to truly matter when they hire the youth is to understand what their missions are, to what extent the Z generation employees are going to share the values of the company. As the company is gaining influence, it's thinking a lot about how exactly it can contribute to the societal development, to building the community, to exploring and developing the territories we're working in. And naturally, this resonates tremendously with Rosatom, because whenever we find ourselves in a new country, we always discover a whole different level of education, a different set of values. It's additional jobs, it's a high level of localization. We're there to build new production sites, new energy power facilities are built there. So our mission and our vision is to make the world better, and we need to understand whether or not it's consonant with youth, whether it resonates with them. Now, another trend that's underway is that this generation is expanding, the Z generation, but at the same time, we badly lack staff these days, and retaining the staff becomes a critical goal for us. I mean, the change of technologies and the current turmoil and turbulence makes it inevitable to create a community where we will provide continuous learning opportunities. So it's about whether a human being can find a way and a setting where they can continuously develop, where they can acquire new skills and competences if these are in demand. And this is what we seek to offer, because effectively this is truly the core of our developmental strategy. In fact, one of the key challenges in education these days, I believe, is as follows. In the first place, you've got to learn to understand how you readjust all your operations to a new setting. At the same time, how you make sure you transmit the skills and competences necessary for your business development to the younger staff. I mean, the higher ed degree usually takes 5 years to get on the average. But in our field in particular, in any high-tech area, actually, that's is built on fundamental science and research, there is just no way you can grasp it all in no time, in a couple of years. I mean, because we're working with high risks, high exposures, because whatever is about nuclear technologies is at all times about a great responsibility and liability. And this affects the way we think, our philosophy, the way we treat education. So how we go about overcoming this challenge is not clear for the time being, and it will take us longer to understand this. But what we are doing already is certainly being quite productive. We're seeing some fruit of it already. I mean, we want to see how exactly what people know, their competence and expertise, how this is going to be used in practice. And that's exactly the aspiration of the younger people joining us. I mean, we work with the students in the second year. That's when we announce our contests for our high-tech projects. We tend to recruit them, saying, guys, there is an opportunity for you to show what you are capable of and to show your interest and enthusiasm. And if they're truly passionate about this, and if they have this intellectual curiosity, they come and join us in the second year of the university already. And that's a great incentive for them to carry on exploring fundamental science and theory, because we see kids tend to opt less frequently for mathematics and physics in their final exams at school, which is quite alarming, because we need to understand how we keep them interested in maths and physics, because these are, in fact, the foundation core disciplines that are indispensable for going on in our field. And in fact, without this foundation, maths and physics, you will not be able to progress. I mean, certainly you've got to acquire soft skills and general skills to succeed, but you cannot do without these two fundamental disciplines. Now, another important priority for us is the equilibrium of our staff. We have about 30% of youth employees, then about 40% of employees aged 30 to 45. And in fact, thanks to this age equilibrium, we have a higher degree of productivity, and the efficacy of our operations seems to be quite successful. We also give a lot of attention to feedback from our staff, and we make a special focus on improving our strategy, on developing our staffing policy, because in this fashion, we really encourage our staff to become the co-creators of what's going on in the company, to share the ownership of what's going on. That's how we empower them. Now, mental health has been covered today, and it certainly is really a great value. I mean, the emotional state, the mental condition of employees is certainly going to be important for the healthier environments in the workplace. In fact, jointly with our staff, we are working hard to understand what tools are available to manage this challenge, the challenge of a poor mental condition at a time of great turmoil and insecurity. And this comes with feedback, and is done through feedback, because when we involve our staff into developing our tools, into devising our strategy, we certainly get far more feedback and interest from them. And also, they share to a much greater extent the understanding of why the company does certain things and what exactly it's doing. Now, next, there is this challenge of continuous lifelong development, right? We are a huge corporate entity. In fact, altogether, we total over 300,000 people. We have lots of new business domains, and we've got to stay tuned. I mean, we really have to be on the cutting edge in terms of our skills and competences. We have plenty of very talented people, and they actually are capable of teaching. In fact, this is one of our major strategies. We already have our own research schools. In fact, just take any one of our institutions, and you'll see that our staff members get involved with the research schools. They apply for PhD courses. Also, we work a lot with the students. In fact, we do IT schools, whereby we work with the school children and students, higher ed students, so that everyone has an opportunity to upgrade their qualifications and to learn additional professional skills from the expert working just next to them. And in fact, experts, technical professional experts in their respective areas really feel so much fulfilled and so rewarded because they see what they know is worth sharing and there is a wish to learn from them. So we have the chief engineer school, we have the designer school, and this makes it possible to merge everyone together. Altogether, we have over 400 institutions working under our organization. And in this way, we work to get them to speak the same language and to exchange things in this shared corporate language. Now, last and not the least thing here is that we have outgrown the corporate entity. We're working in 27 cities to preserve the interest among children and students in what we do and in our core disciplines. We seek to engage their teachers and their parents alike. In fact, I believe we are the first ones in Russia to talk about that. We talk to parents. We do the parents' universities, or we work with the parental elites, as we call it. We encourage parents to come and join us so they untap the potential of their children, so that they can advise their children regarding their career choices, because they all ask themselves this question: what's the profession of the future? What's a good job for the future? And secondly, we continuously work with the teachers, because teachers are those who are at all times in touch with the children, and they play a special role in identifying the interests, the inclinations of their students. Diversity matters a lot to us. I see the leaders of our female nuclear community here, and I can't but reiterate that that is a very important focal area for us. In fact, the projects our female colleagues launch, where they take the lead both domestically and globally, are an inseparable constituent of what we do and of our policy across the world. In fact, the rate of our female employees is about 30%, which is actually higher than elsewhere in the energy sector, although again, we're far beyond being just an energy sector company. And again, this female leadership is an important contribution to our staffing policy.
Ms. Karapetyan, you are a renowned HR professional, coaching expert, and a consultant. And over the years, you have built a carefully curated and highly impactful HR network in Armenia. Could you please tell us what strategy could one use to replicate your achievements? And probably you can tell us what is your opinion on the role of an HR specialist in the corporate world today? And we would be thankful if you name some trends in talent acquisition and management.
Thank you for the question, and really enjoy being here in good company. And I will switch to Russian too, just to be together. I mean, when you are in Russia, you have to speak Russian.
Well, effectively, the HR community of Armenia, I believe, is a story about friendship. It's about professional friendship, naturally. Our network was established back in 2008. There were 8 of us in the entire country of Armenia working on HR, 3 of which came over to say this was all confidential stuff, so they were not going to share anything with anyone. Right now, we have 700 professionals working with us. We have 600 active members. And everyone is extremely proactive in sharing. Now, how did this work out this way? Well, there are subjective and objective reasons for this. You see, the Armenian nation as such are extremely friendly and inclusive, and they have a lot of warmth to share. That's why friendships work out fine in Armenia. But also there are some objective things. There are some particular things that have helped us. Maybe we've served as good role models because we shared, we talked about it, we raised public awareness, we did mastery classes, we did conferences, we did activities, we demonstrated all kinds of tools we were using, and gradually our colleagues learned to share as well, just the way we did. I believe people need to rely on some kind of vision, a concept, and it has to be a powerful one. Like, let's get united, let's develop business, let's develop the country, let's develop together. Also, there is a thing called habit. We just have this habit of being friends. We're just used to being friends, We're not doing and have never done anything supernatural or extraordinary. But our network, the HR Association of Armenia, is indeed one of the strongest professional unions in the country. I mean, I certainly don't want to hurt the feelings of any other association or professional community, but we are doing a lot. In fact, we're running lots of social programs. In particular, after 2020, we have set up a program to provide aid and assistance to war veterans. Over 1,500 soldiers are in professional and technical retraining programs we run, so we get them back to the labor market. Also, we do programs for teenagers whom we had after the war as refugees. So we help them find their professional way and define their professional choice. So come and see us. So you see how it works. In fact, in May, we're going to host a conference. So please do come and join us there. As to the trends now, well, I certainly wouldn't like to just reiterate what's been said before, but what I say is certainly going to echo your words. I mean, there are several trends ongoing. It's being quite stormy these days. It's like being in the volcano world, so you can either be buried under the lava or you can find some true precious gems in it if you have this inner awareness of that what's going on still offers you an opportunity if you wish to see it in this way. I mean, naturally, there is this mass migration online and offline. We're witnessing this, and the HR profession is undergoing some major changes. This is quite visible and obvious. Communication technologies are also changing because the information communication channels we used to use before are no longer all that helpful. We see plenty of changes in the daily operations in HR processes because artificial intelligence is developing at an amazing pace. And in fact, it makes it possible for us to take our HR decisions using big data while overcoming the bias inherent to the decisions we take and to the solutions we find. Also, we see lots of changes as to how we retain people in corporations, how we provide our staff with training and education. Well, in a nutshell, it's HR processes that are not any longer going top down. These days, these processes are bottom to top. In fact, the promotion programs are changing a lot these days. And if we want to do some good for the staff, we ought to ask them, what exactly do you want? How do you see your future? And we need to refocus people's mind as well so that they keep pace with the changes ongoing. So PR technologies, innovations, innovative training, upskilling, reskilling trainings, whatever is available, whatever can be done in no time, all kinds of rapid courses and solutions are certainly used in HR. Now, health programs, and I'm not only referring to physical health, we're paying a lot of attention to mental health, to social health and well-being. and to the financial health and well-being, because managing your own budget also takes quite a lot of skills. What I can see is how my colleagues in HR gather information and data from all kinds of other professional domains or disciplines. We learn SMM, we learn anthropology, sociology, psychology, coaching. We do TOT, project management, task management. Whatever comes our way, we ought to do, because we ought to learn whatever is available to be able to perform better. Now, how do we see our role? Well, everybody asks us this question. Who are we? What are we? We are intermediaries, we're partners, we're counselors, we're consultants. God knows who we are. In fact, take a family. I, I mean, who does the HR work in your household? Is it a nanny, a granny, a mom, a dad, a child, a partner? Well, naturally, it depends on the company, on where they work, the area they work in, and the number of staff in this company. Of course, the distribution of these roles can be different. If you ask me, mine is going to be a very subjective answer, because not only I am a woman, but naturally I have a bias, because everyone is quite subjective. So I think the best promoting role is the role of a friend. I mean, a friend is someone you can come and share things with. It's someone you can turn to for assistance, for help. It's someone who will tell you the bitter truth, but it's going to be honest. A friend is someone who is always there for you. It's someone you can vent to. It's someone you listen to, and it's someone you can always respond to at all times. I mean, it's up to you. Choose your role. I've made my choice, and I wish you did the same. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think that the
Большое спасибо. Да, идея.
I liked it a lot. Let's move on to our next speaker who's joining us online. Mr. Al-Jadidi, welcome. We are very excited to hear your opinion, and let's jump right into the first question. The Oman Tourism Development Company was established as an executive arm of the Sultanate, responsible for delivering the 2040 National Tourism Strategy objectives. Needless to say, I think everyone in this hall knows how difficult the past couple of years have been for the tourism industry, for obvious reasons. And I guess it's really crucial that there are some important takeaways and lessons learned as we move forward. Please share your opinion on what you think some of the big current shifts in the sector have been. What are the steps that you've taken to retain talent? And what are some initiatives that you've led to really unleash the potential of the Sultanate's tourism sector, and just ensure the maximum level of tolerance, multiculturalism, and diversity in the workplace?
Thank you very much, Olga. And I'm really delighted to be joining with you online for this important conference. And I wish I was there with you guys, but I think we have always a chance to be there, definitely. I think a fantastic discussion so far from my colleagues in the panel. And I would join my voice about that this is really an important time for us as a humanity globally, and also for us as an HR professionals, because currently within this current period, we are really witnessing the difficulty, or the most difficult and unprecedented type of challenges in facing HR professionals. So to answer your question in pieces, I would like to probably start with the context, what's happening with the global tourism as an industry. And then I will delve into what's happening regionally with us in the Middle East, just to bring a fantastic picture to what's happening, and then I will zoom in into Umran and Oman in particular. And we will talk about that in details. I think the tourism industry, the good news is recovering after, if you mentioned, Olga, that we are now lifting up all of the pre-COVID precautions, limitations, travel restrictions, and I think that's good news for all of us. Now we are witnessing at an industry level that there is a fantastic recovery. There is a hunger for travel, to visit destinations, to try new experiences, which is a good thing for the tourism industry. And I think this also is leading that probably there would be around 120 million jobs would need to be filled, will need to be created within the tourism industry globally. And I think that's a fantastic news for the global HR community, for the global job seekers, as the tourism industry is also recovering, is probably getting back to normal. And I think we learned really fantastic lessons from COVID time, that domestic tourism is really important as well as international. Hence, there were new trends in industries, in tourism industry in particular, globally, to really focus on the internal tourism, to focus on creating an experiences that people can go to, can experience, while there were some challenges with international travels between a place to place. So employment is picking up. There are few opportunities will be coming to create fantastic job opportunities. If we look at the jobs in general, every 3 jobs that would be created globally, there will be one specified for tourism industry. And I think this is fantastic news. The tourism is really affecting everywhere, and that spillover effect is getting in all of the industries, as we are supporting in tourism all of other industries. Definitely with that would come the need for capacity building, upskilling, reskilling. The different type of jobs are also changing, and we are moving to automation, digitization. This digitization is also some process and procedures within the tourism industry in general, probably hospitality in particular. And I think we are also witnessing very soon that there would be a growth in the tourism industry at about, is expected in the next probably 3 years, at a global level, 6% growth on the contribution for the GDP, which is almost doubling any other normal or conventional type of growth when it comes to GDP. And I think all what I'm trying to say at a global level, tourism is recovering, and I think we are getting into a positive solution in a positive period as we learn to be agile to deal with those type of crises. Now, zooming down a bit into the region, I'm talking in particular about the Middle East and specific about the Gulf region. As all of you know that this year in specific, probably late last year, we are also witnessing good type of traffic is coming into the region. I'm sure that all of you guys are witnessing now or seeing the World Cup and the fantastic, enthusiasm and type of energy for all of the world is looking at Qatar now as a place when it comes to seeing the World Cup. It's a fantastic vibe what's happening here in the region. It's also good for the tourism industry, the traffic with the airlines. Oman is benefiting from this. UAE, Riyadh is benefiting also from this. At Saudi, I think the whole GCC Gulf Country Council is benefiting from the traffic coming to Qatar. Early this year also there was an expo in UAE, and I think you know also what's happening here. And I'm currently in Riyadh, but also Riyadh is booming when it comes to tourism and the type of experiences that you know. And of course, we are also blessed in Oman with fantastic growth happening in tourism. it's either externally or generally the fantastic also kind of connections we have from an airline's perspective to other cities within the world. So a lot is happening at the Gulf level. I think also from a demographics point of view, we have probably the youngest segment of nations of youth, with almost 60 to 65% of all of our population are young and hungry to learn and contribute to the workforce. With that definitely come the pressure to really create some jobs, not only jobs, it's a meaningful jobs to this youth, so they can really contribute to the nation, contribute to the whole economy boom, what's happening. So talking about globally, talking about regionally, now focusing in Oman in itself and being also uh, I'm part of Oman Tourism Development Company, where we are responsible to lead the tourism industry as a government-owned company. There are some priorities that we are currently handling, aligned again with what's happening at the regional, at the global level. And we have what we call the Oman 2040 vision, where we are trying to diversify our economy and move away from depending on oil alone. And tourism as an industry is one of those identified opportunities with all what we are blessed with in Oman in terms of different seasons, different topographies, different locations and places that we would expect to double our contribution when it comes to the GDP contribution as a tourism. There is also that within the Oman 2040 vision, led by our Sultan, there is the need to create an industry and create around 250,000 jobs until we reach 230. So when we talk about 230 jobs, either they are an direct kind of jobs or indirect jobs that comes after the development of the whole industry, besides also creating the small and medium enterprises, the SME communities within Oman, in particular in the tourism economy. There is also this priority of job creation, as I said, employment, besides also creating type of capacity building programs where we train, where we develop people to grow within the tourism industry. We have fantastic stories when it comes to oil and gas as an industry. It has been established over 60 years in the Sultanate, in the country. Similarly, when it comes with the telecom, with the banking, it's the time now to really develop the tourism industry and also create it as a hub, as an employer of choice when it comes to the young, talented students, I would say, studying at the school chairs now, and think about tourism as a go-to type of an industry is in the near future. Part of also the current challenges is really having this young population of motivated youth, motivated, I would say, talented individuals who would be joining the workforce community in the next 3 to 5 years. So really looking into the strategies, how we can attract them, how can we prepare them, what are the important competencies, skills, interventions that we needed really to equip ourselves with. So we have really a tight agenda, and I think it's an ambitious plan where we will need to create a pipeline of talented locals joining the tourism industry. With that, answering your last part, Olga, the type of initiatives that we are dealing. So when it comes to the hospitality sector, talking about hotels, talking about resorts and type of hospitality assets, I think we are mature there in terms of employability in particular. So at least within Omran portfolio, as we own around 25 different hotels in the hospitality section alone, we are close to almost 50% of most of our workforce talent are locals, are Omanis. However, that doesn't stop us as we have an ambitious localization agenda. we call it Omanization in the country. To really localize our workforce, we are aiming to improve this percentage by probably 30% more in the coming 3 years and inject more talented people into our portfolio. With that, we are focusing not only into the quantity, rather we are trying to build some capacity when it comes to the leadership of those hospitality sectors. And we are now building a leadership development programs aiming to prepare Omanis to take leading roles when it comes to a hotel manager, hotel executive roles, or even managing and experiences or different assets within the hospitality. And also we are targeting to really get more graduates and equip them with some vocational type of training and capacity building programs, so they are prepared to handle a hands-on experience opportunities that all of those assets will depend on, and then we would create definitely a career perspective for the pipeline of employees that would be joining the industry. We are also, as Amran Group, we are also controlling to some extent the supply of this talented people through providing a good educational programs, as we own a tourism college. We call it Oman Tourism College. And this is where we try to prepare, we try to educate, upskill, and build the capacity for the employees of the group as well as for the country. So we are really working hard to collaborate with different industry leaders, with different academia partners, also to provide fantastic or relevant training programs that is in need with what's happening in the industry. Having said that, we are also focusing into building a collaboration forum where we, as an industry leader, when it comes to tourism, we talk to the academia and in a constant type of forums. So we don't work in silos, we don't work in an isolation. Rather, they know what our requirements when it comes to the skill set, competencies, the type of skills that we require in the country. And also we listen to them what type of challenges that they have in the academia. We can provide them when it comes to the hands-on experience, or also the type of on-job training happening at the country level. So a lot is happening. We are ambitious. We are also hopeful that we would create the footprint for the country, for the region. And before I close my contribution, this is an open invitation to all of you guys, to the panelists, to the esteemed attendees of this conference, to visit Oman, to experience Oman, to also learn from us, and also we learn from you. We are very open-minded, and we love to see you all guys in Oman very soon.
Thank you, Mr. Al-Jadidi. It's so nice to know that employees of the tourism organization found enough stamina to survive the pandemic era, and now when the tourism in the Gulf region is recovering, they're enjoying working in such a meaningful sphere for the country. Thank you very much. So now we are going to China. Mr. Zhang is joining us from China today, where he leads CIIC, a major backbone enterprise administered by central government and specializing in human resources, providing services for more than 50,000 companies covering 388 cities in China and reaching 7 million employees worldwide. CIIC has been rated as one of the top 500 Chinese companies and top 100 Chinese service enterprises. Mr. Zhang, the floor is yours. Please tell us more about your company journey, goals, and vision. And probably you could share also some ideas about HR trends in China. And probably you could give us some tips for both the company aiming to join the Chinese market and a young specialist interested in developing his or her career in China.
Уважаемые гости конференции.
Distinguished guests of the conference, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. If people have common aspirations, they wouldn't feel too far from each other, even if they are divided by thousands of kilometers. Even though pandemic can separate us in space, but it cannot separate me from my friends, from the hope for mutual cooperation. I'm very happy. It's a great pleasure for me to meet my friends from around the world and together with you to participate in this International Global Impact Conference 2022. On behalf of the CIIC company, I congratulate you on the successful conducting of the conference. The topic of my presentation is innovation, integration, and technology as the new moving force of developing international labor resource. Innovation is a key driving force that contributes to a quick development of goods and services. A key element that brings together innovation, technology, cooperation, and development. The labor resources are an important foundation to create value and develop new development models. Being an important element for strengthening of China through developing of labor resources and a priority strategy of promoting the employment of the population, the HR industry plays an increasingly important role in contributing employment and unlocking China's potential in HR and socio-economic developments. In terms of policy, a number of measures were taken to develop the HR services industry. In recent years, the Ministry of Labor and Social Measures of the People's Republic of China developed a number of measures to expand the HR industry by pursuing a priority strategy of employing the population, which contributed to the high rate of development of the HR industry in the country. In terms of the size of the industry, the number of people employed there grows. At the end of 2021, China had 59,100 in HR, which is 29% higher versus the same period last year in 2020. The number of people employed was over 1 million people. That's 11% higher versus the same period last year in 2020. This data that demonstrates a trend for growth. On the one hand, the opportunity to expand services expands. In 2021, the 59,000 organizations provided their labor resources to more than 50 million employees. That's more than in the same period in 2020. In terms of demographics, the changing structure of the population led to more opportunities for the HR industry. The aging of the population is becoming ever more evident. The number of preferential features for employees goes down. According to the China Research Foundation, in 2022, the share of the population aged 65 and above will reach 14%. The transition to an aging society will be completed. That will be accompanied by a smaller number of active population that would be reduced to 57%. In general, the level of education of the population grows, and the supply of highly qualified personnel grows as well. And this, for example, accelerates the development of the industrial cluster. Since the time that the Labor Ministry opened the first labor park in Shanghai in 2010, this accelerated the supply of the provision of labor services in China. According to statistics, in 2016, the amount of funds raised peaked at 12 billion yuan. And in 2015, the number of undertakings to raise money peaked. The capital is used in a rational way, and investments mostly go to headquarters and industry companies. Currently, the world has entered the digital economy world. The pandemic accelerated this transition. The pace of innovation change in HR industry is getting quicker. The digital intelligence and the green agenda are the key trends in the modernization of the industry. In the future, we will focus on three aspects to actively promote the innovative developments of the industry. First, labor resources develop quickly, are transformed and modernized. There will be an inter-industry integration of labor resources, relying on an online platform and on high-level offline services. We can provide a full scale of HR services, recruitment, retention, and releasing those employees who do not meet customer needs. To help transition to a model, a platform plus individual, to develop a high-level corporate culture. Second aspect, radical change in labor relations, developing of HR platform based on new technology will bring its benefits. In the future, employees will have much more personal traits and experience, and they will be able to overcome various limitations. I believe that this new HR environments will become much more resilient. Thirdly, CIIC pays a lot of attention to a combination between the HR business with a new level of technology. The spread of more traditional offline services to online, and also developing of HR systems based on big data, following people's life cycle. Strong youth means a strong country. Young individuals have been born at the right time, and they have a huge responsibility. They have a lot of opportunity to unlock their talents. The all-encompassing markets and quick development of China, growing international influence and better career opportunities attract more and more foreigners to come and work in China. And today I would like to use the opportunity and give some advice to the foreigners who are looking to find a job in China. First, being rational and believing in themselves, applying themselves to a certain trade, to a particular trade. If previously foreigners came to China to get a glimpse of the country, now many of them come to find career or personal growth. The stability of employment in China continues to grow, and foreigners are more and more increasingly being welcomed by our local companies. Second, you want to learn Chinese well and integrate in the cultural environment. It is always good to be fluent in Chinese to find employment. Often nationals who are fluent in the Chinese understand the culture better integrate in the office environment, and better get to terms with their Chinese colleagues. Third, you've got to have some skills. The areas that employ foreigners are teaching of foreign languages, IT, finance, PR, marketing, etc. A key to success in finding a job is the availability of past relevant experience. But of course, there are certain specialized areas where highly qualified experts are required, such as international actuaries, engineers, and other highly specialized areas. Fourth, you want to value your friends. In China, we say that when you're at home, you rely on your parents, but once you're out in the street, you rely on your friends. In China, we make many friends and develop our social networks by developing our social connections to find valuable resources and exchange information that could help us take better decisions. Five, you want to be able to combine the Chinese and international way of thinking. When we combine traditional and innovative ways of thinking with the Chinese ones, when we innovate and adapt some models, we get better results and we arrive at better work models. Six, choose the right city to live. Often foreigners want to live in the first-tier cities, such as Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, and Shenzhen. Although the first-tier cities have more opportunities for work and more resources, you can find a much higher cost of living and a high level of stress, higher versus the cities of the second tier. Even though second and third tier cities are developing and there is not so much competition there, so foreigners would have more opportunities to develop. In the traditional Chinese culture, there is a proverb that expresses our attitude to talent. Every 10 steps you will find a blooming flower. That means that you can find talents everywhere, and preserving talent is a good tradition of the Chinese nation. Currently, China believes that talent is the most important resource, and our strategic development is defined through talent, and by creating an atmosphere to invite talents, we become more open and more pragmatic. We tend to establish conditions for talent to come to China, to innovate and be entrepreneurial, and to carry out their investment ideas. We are separated by distance, but we have shared dreams and ideals. Dear guests, dear friends, let's work together to share the development opportunities and to create a brighter future, to further strengthen cooperation, to develop an HR ecosystem, and to make a contribution to the global developments. In conclusion, I once again wish very fruitful work to the participants of the conference.
Ladies and gentlemen, and on that...
Дамы и господа, и на этом выступление господина Шунга завершило нашу встречу, и я позволю себе объединить некоторые основные тезисы наших обсуждений сегодня. Надеюсь, что это вдохновит вас на некоторые размышления. Итак, каковы основные вызовы, стоящие перед нами сегодня? Стремительно меняющийся рынок труда. Мы работаем с очень разными поколениями по возрасту. От теории надо стремительно переходить к практике. Далее надо обеспечить равновесие гендерное и возрастное. Очень важен обмен знаниями и опытом, адаптация к ситуации кризиса и адаптация к новым технологиям, а также высокие ожидания, которые сегодня есть у работников от работодателей, и необходимы новые формы и типы работы, которые сегодня возникает понимать и развивать, а также новые навыки. Сегодня они необходимы для того, чтобы адаптироваться к этим новым типам труда. И на этом передаю слово моему со-модератору. Может быть, последнее мы упустили, а именно чувствовать ограничение времени. Благодарим аудиторию за ваше внимание и выступающих за ваши глубокие мысли. Спасибо нашим великолепным модераторам и спасибо за эти выводы.